The Las Vegas Raiders are making big moves, and one of the latest is hiring Brennan Carroll as the new offensive line coach and run game coordinator. If that name sounds familiar, it's because Brennan is the son of legendary coach Pete Carroll. According to a tweet from Yogi Roth, Brennan has spent the last year as the offensive coordinator and offensive line coach at the University of Washington. Before that, he gained experience coaching at Arizona, the Seattle Seahawks, Miami Hurricanes, and USC. This move comes just a day after the Raiders hired Chip Kelly. Given Pete Carroll's history of working with Brennan, it felt inevitable that he'd join the Raiders' coaching staff at some point. Over the past 23 years, Brennan has worked under his father at USC, the Seahawks, and other roles, including as an assistant offensive line coach and run game coordinator. Let's just say being Pete Carroll's son probably doesn't hurt your career prospects. That said, I hope Brennan can make a real difference. The Raiders' offensive line needs serious improvement. Here's hoping they also get aggressive in free agency to bring in top talent and protect whoever lines up as quarterback in 2025. The Raiders made another big move by bringing back a familiar face, Greg Olson. But this time, he's not returning as offensive coordinator. Instead, he'll be the quarterback's coach under head coach Pete Carroll and offensive coordinator Chip Kelly. NFL insider Mike Silver confirmed the news, tweeting that Olson is heading back to the Raiders for his third stint with the team. Yes, you heard that right. Third time. He first joined in 2013 as the offensive coordinator under Dennis Allen, returned in 2018 under John Gruden, and now he's back again. Olson was part of the coaching staff that led the Raiders to their most recent playoff appearance in 2021. While his history with the team has been a bit of a roller coaster, there's no denying his wealth of experience. The good news? This time he won't be calling the plays, which means he can focus solely on developing the quarterbacks, a crucial role for the team's future success. With all the coaching experience the Raiders are stacking up this offseason, there's hope that this could be the start of something great. According to Tom Pelissero, the Raiders have hired Broncos executive Mark Thues as their new senior vice president of football operations and strategy. Thues spent 16 seasons with the Denver Broncos, most recently serving as vice president of football operations and compliance. I'll be honest, I didn't know much about him until this announcement, but his experience with a division rival like the Broncos makes this an interesting hire. Here's the wild part. Thues first joined Denver during Josh McDaniels' time as head coach and stayed on through multiple regimes. During his tenure, the Broncos made 2 Super Bowl appearances, winning 1. That's a solid track record. He also has a connection with John Spytek, who was a Broncos scout from 2013 to 2015, so it seems like the Raiders are pulling from familiar networks. What do you think about this move, Raider Nation? Does Thues' background give you confidence in the team's direction? In a corresponding move, the Raiders have decided to part ways with several coaches from their staff. According to Jeremy Fowler, the team has released running backs coach Cadillac Williams, wide receivers coach Edgar Bennett, linebackers coach Mike Caldwell, quarterbacks coach Ricky Manning Jr., and assistant quarterbacks coach Fred Walker. It's always tough to see coaches go, especially when they likely expected to be around for years. But in football, changes are part of the game. Wishing all these guys the best as they move on to new opportunities. The Raiders are clearly focused on building a fresh coaching staff to move forward in a stronger direction. Let's have some fun talking about potential offseason moves for the Raiders. One name that's been floating around is Marcus Mariota. NFL rumors mentioned it on Twitter, and now Adam Schefter reports that Mariota could have options with the Raiders and Dolphins this offseason. Now, I might be a bit biased. Marcus is my cousin, after all. I'd love to see him back in Las Vegas. Honestly, I never thought we should have let him go in the first place. But let's be real. I'm not saying he should come back as quarterback 1. No, that's not the move. What I am saying is this. Mariota would be a solid mentor and backup. He knows the system, has a strong relationship with Chip Kelly, and brings veteran leadership. Plus, with Greg Olson back as the quarterback's coach, the familiarity is there. And guess what? He wouldn't break the bank. I get that not everyone's on board, and that's okay. but having a dependable veteran like Mariota as a bridge quarterback might just be what the Raiders need. What do you think? Would you bring Mariota back as a backup, or is it a hard pass for you? Let's talk about Tyler Lockett. According to NFL rumors, there's believed to be mutual interest between the Raiders and the Seahawks wide receiver. Now, I get it. The Raiders seem linked to every available player out there. But considering the team's cap space, Pete Carroll's ties to Lockett, and our need for another wide receiver, it actually makes some sense. Lockett is still under contract with Seattle for another year, but he's a prime candidate for a cap cut, which could save the Seahawks $17 million. If that happens, the Raiders might take a shot at signing him. Sure, he may not be in his prime, but Lockett still brings solid value as a dependable receiver. He's expressed that he wants to keep playing and could be a great fit as wide receiver 2 in the right system. Plus, given his career stage, he wouldn't cost the Raiders much. If we can snag him on a smart deal, why not? Pair him with Jacoby Myers and maybe add a talented rookie from the draft, and we'd be in good shape. What do you think, Raider Nation? Would Lockett be a good fit in Las Vegas, or should we look elsewhere? We've talked about players like DK Metcalf and T. Higgins, but here's a name that hasn't been in the spotlight yet: Tyreek Hill. What's interesting is that Hill recently dropped a surprising comment while streaming Fortnite. Talking about Raiders head coach Pete Carroll, he said, "Back in college when I was being recruited, Pete Carroll was the guy I wanted to play for. He's that dude, a well-respected legend." Now, imagine Tyreek Hill on this Raiders team, facing the Chiefs twice a year. That would be wild, right? Everyone knows Hill has hinted at wanting out of Miami. He missed the playoffs last season and has openly expressed interest in moving on. With his respect for Pete Carroll, it's not completely far-fetched to think the Raiders might explore the idea if the Dolphins make him available. What do you think, Raider Nation? Should the front office give Hill a call if the opportunity arises? Sure, Tyreek Hill is 31, but let's be real. The man still has plenty left in the tank as a WR1. The Raiders have a lot of cap space, so paying him wouldn't be an issue. But here's the big question. Who's going to throw the ball to him? That's the critical piece the Raiders need to figure out. So what do you think, Raider Nation? Should the team go after Tyreek Hill, Tyler Lockett, or maybe someone else entirely? Drop your thoughts in the comments below.